The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy begin in just a few short weeks, and NHL players are returning for the first time in more than 10 years. Super exciting thing that's going on in the hockey world. And the St. Louis Blues will actually have five players representing their respective national teams, including goalie Jordan Binnington, Philip Broberg, and Dalibor Dvorsky. So, were these players deserving of their spots? Were any Blues players snubbed from their respective national teams? And what can we expect from these players and the tournament as a whole? We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Note News. Welcome into another episode of Note News. We're a St. Louis Blues podcast, bringing you content twice a week or so. It's John and Alec back with you as always. And today, as we approach the Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy, we're going to be breaking down some of the Blues players that were selected to their teams and also discuss sort of the tournament as a whole and some of our thoughts on the rosters from the bigger teams. I think is what we'll stick to today: Team Canada, Team USA, maybe work in Sweden and Finland as well. Just sort of preview what Blues fans can expect from the Olympics. So, Alec, how are you feeling about Blues players and the other NHL players returning to the Olympics and best on best international play?
I mean, before I get into the Olympic stuff, I think the representation of Blues players is a really, really fun watch for Blues fans to have at this time of year, because you kind of get a little bit of everything. You get, your older guys, your veterans, your Colton Parekos, who have played for just about everything at this point up in their careers, except the chance to win at the international stage. You get Jordan Binnington. You could say is in that category. You could say he's in more of like a middle tier of like had some success and not much since looking to prove himself. And then for me, I'm really excited to watch Dalibor Dvorsky and the young players that are representing their teams, like Philip Broberg as well, who are you know playing in a very high level of competition, with a chance for something that it is really intrinsic to them, and this will be a chance to unlock some of their potential basically. So not only I think is it a chance for them to become better Blues players and become better hockey players, it's also a chance for us to get to watch them at their best. So I think this is going to be a really fun tournament. I will especially be keeping my eye on a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky, who is just such a young, fun player for me. And then I know you'll have Philip Broberg covered over in Team Sweden, but I'm very much looking forward to it. And then yeah, in terms of the whole like best on best international hockey, I mean, I could sit here and fanboy about it for hours. It's just the best. It is the level of buy-in from the players is so instant and so immediate and so tangible. It's really like sports at its best. Um, it's so special. And so to get to watch some of my hockey team's players compete in that kind of environment is something that I will not be taking for granted. I am so stoked for Milan this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's sort of the sentiment across the hockey world, and there's no exception here at Note News. Something we've been looking forward to. I mean, we haven't been going as a podcast for that long, right? Like we started in what was it, like spring or early summer of 2024, and so yeah, this will be our first chance to talk about the Olympics in general. And how lucky are we that we get to talk about NHL players playing again? So just super exciting to have them return. And I think honestly, I like the Winter Olympics better than the Summer Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Um, I just think I could watch every single sport and find it really entertaining at the Winter Olympics. And I don't know that's something I can say for the Summer Olympics. Both are great, but I just love every single Winter Olympic sport. My favorite part is that every single one of them involves sliding in some way. I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it and start to break down some of the news around the Olympics and the national teams. So in terms of the schedule of ice hockey at the Winter Olympics this year, The women's tournament will, or I guess women's play will start on February 5th, about a week before men's play does. And from what I've read and from what I've heard, it feels like this is pretty much just a toss up between U.S. and Canada. I don't know that there's as much competition from some of the other teams as there is on the men's side. Um, but it is an interesting one because you've got Team Canada um, that has claimed gold for like a long time running, but I think the U.S. in the rival series has bested them a lot lately and bested them in like big fashion. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Um, any thoughts on the women's tournament? Since we're a blues focused podcast, we're going to talk more about the men's side and sort of the blues players that are represented there. But wanted to give you a chance to talk about the women's side as well before we dive in.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's going to be a fun tournament to keep up with, and especially with the burgeoning like PWHL, finally
Yeah.
taking root, giving us North American and especially U.S. and Canada fans something like more tangible to root for in the women's hockey sphere.
Mhm.
Um, has been a fun development that I think. Having something like the Olympics will only be a continuation of that connection. And so I am don't have admittedly a ton of analysis to make about the teams, unfortunately, but I do think that it's going to be a spectacle worthwhile of watching, um,
Yeah.
and definitely like would love to see the international scene for something like this get cause to grow because of what happens in the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got Marie-Philippe Poulin on Team Canada. She's been tearing it up the past couple of years in the P-Dub, and so
Mhm.
to have her sort of representing Team Canada, and then the U.S. has their share of stars like Hillary Knight. Um, so yeah, should be fun. I've actually been wanting to get more into the PWHL lately, and so this would be a good chance for anyone who wants to do the same to sort of learn some of the big names. So it should be fun. On the men's side, so the tournament, I guess men's play will start February 11th. That's sort of the first slate of games. NHL hockey will wrap up, I believe, also on the 5th. So the Blues will play their final game actually on the 4th in Dallas against the Stars. That's Wednesday, February 4th. There is a slate of games the following day, Thursday, February 5th, and then there will be a break for the Olympics, and players will head over to Milan and get ready with their national teams. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Olympics schedule now. I was, I guess, poorly prepared as a podcast host, but talk about your thoughts on some of the favorites. I mean, again, similar to the women's side, we've got Team Canada and Team USA that are sort of at the top. But there are some teams like, I mean, Sweden and Finland were also in the Four Nations face-off and gave the North American teams a run for their money. I think Team Sweden looks particularly threatening. So, thoughts on the sort of the quality of these teams at the top on the men's side?
Yeah, I mean, we all, saw the fun that was the Four Nations face-off, and this is just, the next evolution of that. And really, it's a step beyond Four Nations, which was a fun, in-season NHL tournament. But the Olympics are something with a legacy and a lineage of sports, and a chance to really, etch your name into sports history. So it's like Four Nations on a much like multiplied massive scale. Um, and yeah, in terms of the favorites of this team, I would say it is the teams from Four Nations certainly are looking like the known quantities, especially of North American or NHL audiences.
Mm.
Um, you're going to find more recognizable guys on U.S. Canada, Sweden, and Finland. But that doesn't mean that another team couldn't make a make an exciting push or make some kind of um, noise about it. It's just that to us North American audiences, those are the names we're familiar with. And for that reason, I think that they are uh, considered favorites. And honestly, like the talent assembled is just, I don't know. I'm sort of getting back into fanboy mode a little bit. But I really am excited for the highest level of hockey that is could be played in here in just a few weeks. Um, and yeah, U.S., Canada, uh, Finland, or Sweden are definitely going to be leading the way on that charge, and will definitely be the teams with my attention, as well as watching Dally when I can.
For sure. Yeah, I think USA and Canada, those are the teams to beat. Um, but I mean, I think if we were to separate it into tiers, I'd probably say that Sweden is closer to Canada and US than they are to a team like Finland or Germany or some of the other teams represented here. Just top to bottom, really solid NHL talent on Team Sweden. Um, so Team Canada, let's start sort of at the top, at the favorite. I think Canada probably is the favorite, especially after their performance at Four Nations, beating the U.S. in that sort of I guess gold medal game at Four Nations last year. Some of the obvious ones, right? Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, guys like that everyone expected to be picked back to their national teams. Some interesting ones, or I guess not interesting in the sense that they're like controversial or anything like that, but some of the selections of note I think are Macklin Celebrini. He just sort of grabbed a hold of this one this year and made it almost impossible for them to not put him on Team Canada with the way he's been playing in San Jose this season. Um, I mean, who else? We've got Nick Suzuki kind of worked his way in, probably to that Robert Thomas slot that we kind of hoped that he could grab, but Nick Suzuki claims that one. Um, and then we've got our first couple of Blues to talk about, and we'll talk about these selections a little bit later. But Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko are obviously on Team Canada. I mean, just an embarrassment of riches for Team Canada here. I think what's interesting is the projected lines for this, and this top six is just unfair. So I'm going to read what NHL.com has as the sort of projected lines for Team Canada. I'll just go through the top six for now. They've got Macklin Celebrini, Connor McDavid, and Mitch Marner on the top line. Seems unfair. The second line, they've got Sidney Crosby on the wing, Nathan McKinnon at center, and then Sam Reinhart on the other side. I think one change from what was sort of expected to be the lineup and what was the lineup at Four Nations is Braden Point has sort of fallen out, and probably that's more to do with his. It's probably a combination of his poor performance this season and Macklin Celebrini just looking incredible. So, I mean, thoughts on this top six to start with, as well as, on defense, you've got Devon Taves, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Shea Theodore, guys like that. Yeah, thoughts on Team Canada.
Yeah, I actually kind of think it's the this might be a hot take, but I kind of think it's the back end of the roster that is drawing the
Yeah, they're
focus of
deep.
my attention more so than the forward core. And even we were kind of talking pre-episode. I kind of don't hate what they have for goalies either. It's not the best unit in the tournament, or the best goalie unit in the tournament, but I kind of like that they have every style of goalie that you could want. Um, and maybe something will click, but yeah, I think the decor is really impressive with Drew Doughty, Thomas Harley, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey. Obviously, you got Pareko, also Travis Sanheim, and then Shea Theodore and Devin Taves. Those are, I mean that's how many? That's eight defensemen. If that isn't eight of the best, I don't know, 16 defensemen in the NHL, maybe. maybe missing out a few names like top 20 in the NHL. Um, that's that is quite an impressive list, at least in my eyes. And I think that Canada really has had a problem in the past, um, locking it down and kind of have relied on goaltender heroics. Um, but this team seems well equipped to deal with a longer format of a game. And, with what a dynamic offensive threat guys like Macklin Celebrini, Sam Reinhart, and then obviously Sid the Kid um, have done in the NHL, especially this season. Um, you'd hope that there would be enough offense there, but it definitely seems to be a more like defensive oriented roster. Um, and I am truly like just impressed with the hockey talent that they have accrued for this team.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep team and a versatile team, like you said. I mean, like bringing players like Colton Parayko and Anthony Cirelli, guys like that who might not be obvious selections, but they sort of provide a little bit of a more well-rounded look to your roster. Those are two guys that can play defense primarily. I would say is their one of their big benefits to this team in particular. But it's definitely deep. Definitely a great team. The one area of concern, at least among fans of Team Canada and sort of Canadians themselves, doesn't sound like you really agree, Alec. But a lot of the conversation in sort of the national media and around the hockey sphere is that the goaltending core not as good. It's sort of maybe a weakness for this team. You've got Jordan Binnington, who we'll talk more about this selection in just a few minutes. But you've also got Logan Thompson and Darcy Kemper. Now, Jordan Binnington made this team not because he played super well this year. In fact, he has played very poorly this year, or at least the stats are poor. This isn't maybe not really the discussion to dissect all that, but he made this team based on his reputation in big games, and more importantly, he made this team based on what he did for them at Four Nations. So I think that one was sort of an obvious pick going into this, regardless of his performance. But then Logan Thompson has definitely played his way on. I think he um, has been excellent this season for Washington. I think if Bennington struggles, he's the clear next choice up. So um, I don't think the goalie tandem, or I guess the goalie trio, is as big of a as big of a weakness as it's being made out to be. Um, but like I think of the three units of the team, it is definitely the weakness, sort of in that regard.
Sure, that's fair.
Um, I would actually argue, sort of moving on to Team USA here, I would probably argue that their decor is fit. I would take the decor that the USA has over Team Canada. I think it looks just all kinds of scary with Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, Zach Werenski, Seth Jones, Jacob Slavin, Brock Faber, Jake Sanderson, and Noah Hannafin rounding out all eight. Like, I think between Werenski, Hughes, McAvoy, like those are probably like three of the best. I don't know, five, three of the best five. Like I don't know, but just insanely good defensemen. And they left off Adam Fox. Like that's not even including Adam Fox. But like Quinn Hughes is Quinn Hughes. Zach Werenski is having a great season after an amazing one last year. Brock Faber's up and coming. Jake Sanderson is up and coming. So really interesting looking decor here. The forward core as well. I mean, you've got the Kachuk brothers up top, Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews. It's just you know some really talented players here. And then where they shine as well, at least relative to Team Canada and the others, is in net. They've got Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. So three really excellent goalies. I think each of whom would like be starting for any other national team, including Canada. You could maybe make an argument against someone like like, I don't know, Jeremy Swayman, even though he's having a good year. But what are your thoughts on the U.S.? There aren't any Blues players represented here, of course, but they are looking to um, come out, look a little more dangerous, and play some better hockey against Team Canada, and try to claim that elusive gold medal. Yeah, thoughts on this team?
Yeah, Team USA is very good in a very like complete hockey team. You know, they kind of have a lot of complementary skill sets that I think is their um, biggest or is like the scariest thing about them. But definitely like lean on the older side, I would say, in terms of um, hockey rosters,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely, yeah, definitely made some interesting personnel decisions um, for the selection of this roster. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say that with USA, I think that they have a very explosive style to where they could be really they could net a lot of goals in very quickly. But maybe won't have that like whereas Canada's more of a 60-minute team, USA might be more of a 20-minute team. It's just my guess based on the rosters. I could be wrong about that, but um, I think it'll be a very fun matchup into a team like Canada because I think they're kind of designed to butt heads, not
Mm-hmm.
intentionally per se, but just the way that it looks out on the roster to me as more of a offensive forward, heavy hitting. The Kachuk brothers and Tage Thompson and all these like beast, uh, you know, beastly players, I guess, versus the more like dynamism and careful offense of Macklin Celebrini and Nathan McKinnon, and then you also have like Sidney Crosby and Sam Reinhart. So I don't know. I'm just naming names at this point. I guess I'm really excited to watch these teams because I think they match up super interestingly into one another. Especially on top of it being the first time we've had international best on best hockey in forever. So
Yeah, for sure. It should be any matchup between between Canada and the USA should continue to be scheduled viewing. Yeah, some more, I don't know, I guess controversial decisions like Jason Robertson left off, Adam Fox left off. I think a couple of head scratching moves there, especially with their respective performances this year. But you know, I think Bill Guerin was trying to build a very specific roster to do a very specific thing, um, and we'll see if it works out. Moving on to Team Sweden, and sort of this will be maybe our last of the really dissecting these rosters. I think these are, in my mind, I don't know. Do you agree, Alec? Do you think these are the three favorites to medal in the tournament?
I kind of have a hot take, but yeah,
Okay.
I would say these are the favorites.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and break down Team Sweden. Not as much like uh, top talent and not really any Connor McDavid's or Nathan McKinnon's or Kachuk brothers of the world, but some really solid players. You've got up top Jesper Bratt, Leo Carlson, William Nylander, as well as Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, Lucas Raymond. That's sort of the top six as projected by NHL.com. But like they've got some depth as well. I mean, between Adrian Kempe, Eriksson Ek, Zibanejad, Landeskog is making his way back as well, or will be back. I think that's a forward core that's not as high end as the other two teams we've discussed, but there's some depth there for sure, and I think they can probably hang. So I would say I would describe it as a solid forward core, but their blue line is probably where they shine most. They've got Victor Hedman and Rasmus Dahlin up top. They've also got guys like Gustav Forsling, Erik Karlsson, Rasmus Andersson. But the top of the list for me here and for Blues fans is Philip Broberg, which again we'll discuss the Blues players in particular in a few minutes. But so thrilled that he'll be on Team Sweden, and realistically might not be getting as many minutes as some of these other guys, but just the recognition and the opportunity is really cool for him. And then in net, you've got Philip Gustafsson and Jesper Wallstedt, both of the Minnesota Wild goalies, and Jacob Markstrom, owner of the worst performance by goal save to goal expected ever, I guess, since it's been tracked. So that's fun. thoughts on this team? I think defensively is where they're really going to lock it down. They've also got some solid goaltenders to sort of swallow up the shots that do get through. And I think between guys like Leo Carlsson, Nylander, and Philip Forsberg, you should have some goal scoring capabilities built in there as well.
Somehow they've recreated the Los Angeles Kings in the aggregate. This team is so specialized for not allowing goals that I am. It's going to be an interesting watch, and getting through off of this roster will definitely be a very satisfying moment, I would think. To me, their goaltending is horrifying in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Wild goaltender tandem right now are doing kind of historic things, like together. Jesper Wallstedt being like one of the highlight, I would say highlights of the season, honestly,
Yeah,
so
I mean
far.
he's definitely a Calder candidate for sure.
hmm And then Philip Gustafsson, just in case he's having a rough period. And then Markstrom's there, but I think the Minnesota goaltending tandem I have a lot of respect for, and do think that's a strength of this team. And then yeah, their blue line also is really excellent. And on top of that, some of their forwards, like Joel Eriksson Ek, has been like this winner that should have won the Selkie for like 3 years in a row or something
Yeah,
back in
he's
like the
great
early
defensively.
2020s.
Yeah.
Leo Carlson's really good defensively. Adrian Kempe is from the Los Angeles Kings, so you maybe that counts for some defense. Elias Pettersson, say what you want about him, but he's actually like does try defensively. Like this is a defensive team if I've ever seen one,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't remember a Sweden team being like this in so long. That I think it's I think it's a really fun follow. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess that's my piece on this on Team Sweden.
it is fun. I think it's intriguing in a way that like you look at the roster for Canada and the US and you're like, okay, well, like that's just crazy. And Team Sweden, there is a little bit of that, but it's also like, okay, interesting. There's some intrigue there. Okay, so I want to get your hot take, and then once you've given the hot take, I think we should say who we're rooting for, and or I guess rooting for slash think will win it all with the gold medal. But yeah, what's
Um,
this hot take you have?
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't a hot take. I actually think Team Finland is really underrated here.
Okay.
I actually think that they're in my head, in my estimation, the third best team.
Hmm.
And I think that they're kind of an underrated sleeper. I think that they have a very complementary roster as well. And I think that they have enough on every level to make some noise. Rantanen, Heiskanen, excuse me, Lusterainen, Lundell, Rope Hintz, Mikkel, Granlund, Aho. I don't know. I'm again going back to naming names. Um, I think that the way Finland is built, I think that they could really be the surprise of the Olympics this year.
Yeah, I don't know that it's that far out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, this feels like if the Dallas Stars and Florida Panthers just mesh, not in terms of like play style, but it's just like in terms of the actual players, like the top line or I guess top pair is going to be probably Mira Haskin and Asa Lindell, and then you've got Mikko Rantanen, as you said, but then like so many Finns on a team or not Team Florida, the Florida Panthers. You've got Anton Lindell, Eetu Luosterainen, um, and that's not even including Nico Mikkola. That's not even including Alexander Barkov, who would have been the top line center for this team, but is out
Which,
with injury,
hey,
unfortunately.
if you're combining the Florida Panthers and the Dallas Stars, that's not a bad hockey team.
It's not a bad hockey team for sure, but can it compete with the Death Star that is Team Canada? Like that remains to be seen. But yeah, no, this is definitely another intriguing team. I think it is really tight among these four teams, and maybe a bit of a drop off as you look at some others, but overall should be such fun hockey. So play will start on February 11th. Slovakia plays Finland and Sweden plays Italy on day one. Some games to watch for those that like are interested in that kind of thing. I think Team Czechia is really interesting. I think they could be a bit of a dark horse. They play Canada on the 12th. The 13th of February, which I'll get up really early and watch this on my birthday, is Sweden Finland. That's a great international rivalry, so definitely check that one out. Sweden Slovakia if you want to see some Blues and some Blues going at it, and then just sort of scrolling through here to pick out some of the more interesting ones. I would say those are the big ones of the like preliminary rounds to check out. So um, definitely go look up a schedule and claim your teams now. Speaking of which, Alec, who do you like to win? Who are you rooting for? Or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I think Canada is still the team to beat. I think they're still the favorite for a reason. And I think they have just such a fun narrative around them this year. Um, with the Macklin Celebrini being the kid that he is, and seeing what Sidney Crosby did in his first Olympics, and having Sidney Crosby be on the team. I don't know. Maybe that's just only pulling at my heartstrings, but it's working. So I think that Canada right now is the team to beat. But I'll definitely be following Finland and Sweden. Generally, I'm a Team Sweden guy, but I kind of feel like this year I might be more of a Team Finland watcher this go around.
Yeah, I like it. I agree. I think Team Canada is probably the one to beat here. Um, I mean, it should come as no surprise. I'm rooting for Philip Broberg. I want Team Sweden to do well. I want them to medal. So that sort of will be the team I probably watch most closely, that I'm most intrigued by, most interested in. Um, yeah, should be a really fun one. I mean, and it's fitting, right? Like the Blues are basically becoming a Swedish team, so it's always been Sweden. You got Alexander Steen, Stenberg, Berggren, and Broberg, and Sonny. You got Sonny as well. A lot of Swedes in the system as well. Okay, let's shift now and talk about the Blues players that were selected to their national teams. Um, Sort of get more into Blues content here. For each of these, I think we should probably react to each selection. Um, is it deserved by that player? Is it a fair selection? And you know, sort of give your take for yes or no. We can sort of work that out through discussion, and then afterwards we'll talk about any players that were snubbed, if there are any that we think of. But I wanted to start off this discussion by just recognizing that my bold prediction was maybe just a little too bold, and um, will not be coming true, unfortunately. So preseason, I think my bold prediction was, what did I say? Eight? Was it eight
8.
players
Yeah.
would get selected to national rosters? So you've got the five Blues that are. At that time, I said Alexander Texier would make it, and since he's been traded, I mean, I think it's fair to include him in as a successful pick, even though he's been traded. So there were six. I think the two that didn't make it were Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway. Maybe just a little bit too high on them, but I was also, I guess, a little bit too high on the Blues. I thought they would have good seasons and earn a pick, but it's bold for a reason. And what can I say? I got my heart broken, but it's okay. Okay, let's talk about. Do you want to start with sort of the bigger teams and work our way down up at Team Canada, or do you want to start sort of among the guys like Devo and Suter?
I kind of think in an inverse way, there's more to talk about with the guys on the other teams. So why don't we start with Canada?
Let's do it. So the Blues have two players that were selected to Team Canada: Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko. Not without some controversy, some dialogue out there online for sure. And it's no secret that Doug Armstrong is the GM for Team Canada. So there were definitely some. There was at least one voice in the room that was really rooting for these guys in all likelihood. But what are your thoughts on these selections? Like, do you think, bias or no bias from Doug Armstrong, do you think these were like deserved selections by for Binner and Parayko rather?
Yeah, I think Binner and Parayko, honestly, I do think they deserved it. I don't know if they were the only players that deserved it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I think there were not better options, but there were other options sort of in the same tier. So it makes sense for Doug to want to go with this guy. Um, but like Binnington, there isn't a more proven goalie on an international level playing than Jordan Binnington. Um, if anyone has no one has the reputation that Binnington has, even with a down season. That's still, he has built up that much goodwill to still like default a spot on this roster basically. And if he loses this chance, then we can start to have discussions about, you know, was Bennington's run from 21 to 27 or whatever. Um, so I do think that there is still I do think that there was always a spot for Bennington. Pareko, I think also has been chosen for Four Nations in the past, um, and has done like fine enough, I think, to maintain his spot. And I don't know that I can think of other people who have passed him up. So I think that they are earned, and I think that the players themselves will do well for it.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. Like I think um, statistically speaking, obviously Binner's not having a good year, but like you said, I mean he's just too proven at international play at this level to not have been one of the three. Like it's fine if he loses the starter job, or if someone thinks that maybe Logan Thompson should start over him. But like I would disagree with someone who argues that he should have been left off entirely, um, just because yes, statistically he has been bad. But like put him in front of a good team and maybe that will change. Maybe not, but he's just done it too many times, like over and over and over to not have been included on this roster. And I think the way it'll go down is it'll be his starter's net to begin with, and in the preliminary rounds, if it looks like he doesn't have it, there could be a short leash. I wouldn't be surprised if they put in Logan Thompson after one bad game or something like that. Like it that might be all it takes is one bad game. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I think the more interesting conversation to me is around Colton Parayko, and I think he does deserve it. But like you said, it's not a situation um, of other players deserved it and he didn't. I think there were just lots of players that deserved it. So players that were left off, I mean, you've got Matthew Schaefer, who is obviously very young and is in the middle of his first year, but like he was making a push for sure. Um, Evan Bouchard, he's Canadian, right? I think he was one that was left off, but you know I think what Colton Parayko accomplishes that those two might not, um, is a different look. Like a different type of option on the blue line. Colton Parayko is not going to be playing over Cale Makar or Josh Morrissey or guys like that. He can go into shut down. He provides a little more range, physically than those guys do. He's a longer guy, big guy. I think he has like more diverse aspects to his game defensively, but also, I mean, under the Jim Montgomery system, it's sort of we've seen him play offense in a different way, and so I think this was to me more of a case of maybe Doug Armstrong was sort of pushing this one along. Guys you've won with already. I think that probably carried a lot of weight, more so on the Colton Parayko side. But again, like I think that this was still a good choice, bringing Colton Parayko. Like he's just I don't know, a proven player and the type of guy you can definitely win with. So those are those two. Anything else to add before we move on?
I don't think so.
All right, Philip Broberg, my guy, Team Sweden, was hoping for this one. Was pushing for this one. I was on the phone constantly with Sweden, lobbying for my guy to be selected, of course, and it worked. We did it, Alec. No, in all actuality, Philip Broberg played his way on. He's been like the bright spot for the St. Louis Blues this year, or at least one of a few. And he's just sort of had a very momentous couple of seasons in the sense that he's like, I don't know, is momentous the right word? He's gathered a lot of momentum as a player, sort of out there, like in the hockey world, gaining a good reputation as a shutdown defender, an all situations kind of guy, and a really great transition player and pace of play contributor. So, um, I don't know. Like I think this was the right choice, obviously, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I love Philip Broberg, and I think their decor is really deep, and to have him be like in the top eight is still, I think, a huge accomplishment for him, especially at his age. I would be thrilled to see him work his way up this lineup. Um, Maybe by 2030 he can be a top four guy, or at least a top six guy. That remains to be seen, of course. But like, super excited for him to get the chance. I think for me, this will be uh, scheduled viewing, especially the earlier games where he's more likely to play. I think as it gets later into the tournament, he might not, unless some of the other guys are struggling. Um, but I'm gonna be glued to these early games for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you and your guy
Thank you.
to get this opportunity together. No, but I think that Team Sweden has a good roster, and Broberg is a reason for it. The depth that means if you have a player of Broberg's caliber as your eighth defenseman, that means you have a really good defense, I think. Um, and Broberg is already establishing himself like so quietly that he just kind of slipped his way onto the Blues and slipped his way onto Team Sweden.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that this will be another sort of like quiet but you know very important stage for the young skater, to continue to improve and impress and do so without like any fanfare or any noise or anything um, exciting about it. Just a good hockey player, pretty much.
Yeah, in my mind, like if we're talking about the player selections that are most important for the Blues themselves long term, I feel like Philip Broberg and Dalibor Dvorsky have to be top of the list. Like this will be like the most difficult and important hockey that they have ever played in their entire career. And so like experience like this is what's great about international competitions like this. It gives players that chance, that experience to see what that play is like, to have something to play for, even if their team is having a down year and they aren't likely to make the playoffs, which the Blues aren't at this point. Um, but like that experience is going to be so valuable for Philip Broberg, for Dalibor Dvorsky, not just to get a taste of playing, but to like be around other elite players and sort of see them at their best. So yeah, super excited. We can sort of continue that point once we get to Devo, but I think that's something I'm really looking forward to, and I think could be important, sort of just in the development of like winning hockey long term, like winning hockey, winning culture among the young players. Like this stuff matters, in my opinion. So yeah. Okay, Team Switzerland, uh, the Blues free agent acquisition from this most recent offseason, Pius Suter, was named to Team Switzerland. Not as deep of a team when you look at NHL players. It's sort of about half and half between NHLers and some Euro players. But Pius Suter made his way on, and so I think this was a really interesting pick, and I mean a good one for sure. I think he definitely deserved it. Because of sort of his past couple seasons. I mean, last year in Vancouver was the best season of his career, and then I think he's looked really good for the Blues this year. He's you know not breaking the bank or anything like that, or sort of not a game breaker, but has fit in really well. I think so. Yeah, thoughts on this selection. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I just think it was a good call, and I think he'll probably be, I guess a top nine center for them. But he can also play wing, so maybe he'll factor in that way. That one's a little bit harder to say, but yeah, I think my takeaway is just happy for the guy because I think defensively he's great, and he's got a lot of experience. So yeah, excited about this one.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a really great opportunity for a young player in Dvorsky,
Suitor.
and Suter. Sorry, Freudian slip. Um, but I think it's a chance, in a as a hybrid skater to kind of show off that hybrid skill set because I think he will play some wing. I think he might want to be one of the guys that maybe even gets top line minutes.
Hmm.
Um, and even if he's not the 1C, he can still be a um, a benefit to what they want to do on the for top line. So I think, yeah, Switzerland is not a team expected to make a lot of noise, I guess, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of opportunity for a guy like Suter. And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
watching him step up in international play would be a huge step in the right direction for, um, maybe continuing to sign him long term.
Yeah, or if they go the route of trading him, I mean it would be an
That's
unfortunate
true.
outcome for a guy who I was pretty excited about seeing them sign, but like I feel like it could be a chance for him to sort of be on display for like the hockey world, which we'll undoubtedly be watching. And if the Blues elect to go that route, either before the deadline or in the off season, um, I don't know. It could help their case. Um, I guess the same could be said of Jordan Binnington, but that's not a discussion for right now. Okay, Dalibor Dvorsky. Let me get your thoughts on this one. I mean, Team Slovakia, another one that's like you said about Team Switzerland. Slovakia is not expected to make a ton of noise, and they're another one that only has um, a few NHLers working their way in. I think Dalibor Dvorsky, excuse me, is honestly like one of the better guys here. You've also got Slavkovsky. You've got goodness, who else? Simon Nemec and some other sort of down the lineup guys around the league. But I want to give you the floor here. Let me hear about your thoughts on Dalibor Dvorsky headed to the Olympics.
It's a player that I was so excited to talk about that I completely skipped over Pia Suter.
Yeah,
Um, I am I'm very much looking forward to what Dvorsky is going to be able to do as a player in this tournament. Just because he might be the best player on his team, um, and if he can show out to that level in international play, then you've got something in this kid. And even if he's having a little bit of a slow first like full crack at the NHL, um, that's no reason to give up so early, and no reason that Dvorsky can't become something really uh, special for the Blues. So I think this is a chance to. When I was talking earlier about like watch out for this tournament because this could unlock some players' potential, this was the player I had in mind whose potential this tournament could really unlock. It might take an event like this to spurn something within him, but that can happen to a player, and Dvorsky is the exact kind of sleeping giant of a player that I would want that happening to. So I don't know. I really think this could be a positive step in Dvorsky's development, just because it's such a special, like unique feeling to play for your team, and I don't think he's gonna waste that chance.
yeah, well said. I mean, I don't know if I would say that he's the best player. I don't know if I would say he's better than Slavkovsky, but I feel like he does have the opportunity to play the best. Like he could outperform Slavkovsky in the tournament.
That's a better way of putting it.
And you know, either way, yeah, I agree. This could be huge for him developmentally, and I really hope it does unlock something. So yeah, this will be a not as fun a team to watch, but if you want to watch like a young blue like get some playing time against some good teams, like this is definitely the team to watch for you. So um, I mean, he's already making Team Slovakia, so at such a young age. So hopefully he's got a long career of Olympic appearances ahead of him, and we can see him sort of maybe down the line he'll become that best player on the lineup. So um, super excited about this one. I think obviously I'm most excited about Philip Broberg, but Dalibor Dvorsky on Team Slovakia is a not too distant second um, uh, pick that I'm most excited about. So should be a lot of fun to watch this one happen.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the five that were selected to their national teams?
Um, I don't know. I'm just excited to watch international hockey, and I think having five Blues is no number to slouch at. In such a sucky, crappy year of Blues hockey, that's still something to take a little pride in, Blues fans. So um, I'm ready for it. I wanted to get here already.
I'm ready for it as well. It should be awesome. Like that's all I can say about it. It's just going to be awesome. Okay, so in terms of players that were snubbed, do you think there are any? This is one interesting thing. Do you think if geopolitics were different and Team Russia was in, do you think we see Buchnevich play for Team Russia?
I don't think I'm caught off enough on the KHL to answer that.
Fair.
Um,
For what it's
because I
worth,
think it's
I think he
close.
probably does. Like he's been
Okay,
bad this year, but I don't know. I think he probably does.
I think it's close. Um,
Yeah, maybe so.
so I would say probably though.
Yeah. Okay. More relevantly to, yeah, more importantly for our discussion, do you think any Blues players were snubbed? I've seen not a lot, but a couple people out there that were sort of in disbelief that Robert Thomas didn't make Team Canada. I think this is sort of the main one to talk about. Like, you know, in terms of closest to a snub that there could be, like Dylan Holloway. Maybe I'm the only one still talking about this, but I don't think that was a snub leaving him off. I thought he had a real chance to tear it up if he had like uh, at like a 98, 99% outcome this year, and maybe get a shot at cracking bottom six spot. But leaving him off, I don't think is really a snub. What's your thoughts on Robert Thomas being left off?
Um, I think he honestly deserved it, and not deserved a spot on the roster. I think he deserved to be left off. Um,
Yeah,
I think he has not been the leader the Blues needed this year. Leadership aside, he has not been the player the Blues needed this year, and so I think I'm a little bit, um, hopefully this will be the right kind of wake up that he needs to understand that what it takes to consistently win, because Robert Thomas is a winner. He's won at every level in the past, OHL, uh, in the NHL, and at Four Nations. But
he wasn't at Four Nations, was he?
um, am I misremembering that? No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
But he won the
Um,
Stanley Cup, that's for sure.
yeah. Um, but I don't know. I think
It was a much closer call at Four Nations, but yeah, his play this season, I mean, warranted being left off. I think
yeah, and I think it'll be good for him as a player,
it's a good point. Yeah,
to to have kind of a step back and understand the cost.
yeah. I mean, I would hope that it could be a motivating factor for him. We saw him. Maybe it was being left off Four Nations that helped him unlock something late last year. But I think it might be a little late for that this time around for him to unlock something. But yeah, I think that's still a good point. And I think realistically, looking at their roster, I think the spot that he would have gotten was snagged up by Nick Suzuki, who's having just a much better year all around. He's definitely got a shot at the Selke this year, and it's just has been the better player this season. So even if Nick Suzuki didn't claim that spot, you've still got guys like Sam Bennett and Connor Bedard who are probably next up anyway. Like I don't think there's a lot of merit to the argument that Robert Thomas belonged on this team. Um, I think he could have made this team. I think he is talented enough to have made this team, but he just hasn't played up to it. That's the only thing. So I don't think it's a snub. Um, I cannot believe Nathan Walker was left off Team Australia. Just ridiculous. Um, unreal. Unreal. Any others you want to talk about?
Bloody crime. Um, I don't think so. I think that's all my Olympic thoughts.
Let me ask you this. Short answer to this in the interest of time. Do you think there is a possibility that one day in 2030 or beyond, I guess 2030 would be like the best chance, but maybe 2034 as well. Do you think there's a shot that Jimmy Snuggerud could make Team USA?
Yes.
Short answer, yes.
Yes.
That would be so fun. That would be so fun. I'm like, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think there's two. I think depends on how he develops, but I think it's in there. And yeah, yeah. I guess I said short answer, so we can leave it at that.
Yeah.
If anyone else has any reactions or any thoughts to Blues Olympic selections, definitely let us know in the comments on YouTube or on Spotify, and you can leave comments along with your review as well on Apple Podcasts. So speaking of, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, that's the best way to help us out. Share us with a friend if you'd like. Like this video, follow, rate, review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's another great way to help us and helps get the show in front of new eyes and new ears. And then follow us on socials if that's your thing. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod. We post a lot of other stuff, some reels, some graphics that we work hard on, all that kind of stuff. So definitely go follow us over there, engage with us, and yeah, I think that'll do it for us this time. Thanks everyone for listening and for watching. We're super excited for the Olympics. I think during the NHL break for the Olympics, a lot of what we'll be covering is maybe some reactions to the games as they're happening and sort of breakdowns of how Blues players are performing. So we're excited to do that. We're excited to keep talking Blues hockey all season long. So definitely subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Well, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next time, and let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.